Welcome back to the NBA Countdown Playoff Preview, presented by Kia.
There certainly have been some incredible moments in this regular season, and there will almost certainly be more in the playoffs. We do know two series locked in the Western Conference, the Suns and the Clippers in that 4-5 matchup, and then the Warriors and the Kings in the 3-6. Stephen A., of those two, which intrigues you more?
Oh, my goodness, it's definitely the Suns. I'm sorry, it's rather the Kings versus the Warriors. First of all, get your popcorn ready. I mean, listen, we know the Sacramento Kings can score. They got the number one offensive score, like 121 points a game. But we also know that their defense is a bit flawed. And Golden State, if anybody's going to exploit it, it's the exceptional coaching of Steve Kerr and obviously the marksmanship of cats like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, just to name a few. Wiggins coming back with Jordan Poole there. And the Bay Area, think about the rivalry. Think about how hyped the city of Sacramento is going to be for this series. Think about Mike Brown being very, very familiar, somebody that was on Steve Kerr's bench the last several years, and what he brings to the table and his familiarity with what they want to do. It's a very intriguing matchup. I think it's going to be an exciting brand of basketball. I think it's a must-watch series, and I for one, wish I was there. I wish I could get there for that, to Sacramento for that game. I mean, I got to do countdown. Got to do countdown. Otherwise, we'd be going.
What do you think, Michael Wilbon?
Well, you know, De'Aaron Fox is a player that only rabid NBA fans have been able to see, locate, find during this regular season. And once you start watching them, there's something sort of irresistible about Sacramento, and that obviously includes Sabonis, who was either the leader or second, depending on your frame of definition, in rebounding for the league this year. But De'Aaron Fox, I mean, he is one of the top players in the league, and I think people will finally get a chance to see and appreciate him in this series. Malik Monk, a player who had been forgotten at other stops, coming off the bench for Sacramento. There's a lot of reasons to want to watch. We know why we want to watch Golden State, and I think it's must-see as well, Stephen A. But Sacramento, for the casual fan or for the person just tuning in for the playoffs, they're going to turn and go, wait a minute, where's this team been all my life? And they haven't been front and center, but now they get to occupy the marquee, at least for a little while.
I agree with you guys. And Coach of the Year, Mike Brown.
Yes.
Rookie Keegan Murray has been terrific.
Yep.
But I'm going to make sure it's just because it's a playoff preview, I acknowledge the other series. So just think about this. When the Clippers put together Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they still haven't met expectations. Unfortunately, right now, Paul George is injured. A first-round exit ain't something that Steve Ballmer and the franchise was looking forward to almost 4 years into acquiring both of those players. For the Phoenix Suns, imagine if Paul George is able to return and they're in a long series with the Clippers, CP3's former team, and the Phoenix Suns get pressed by a team that has more chemistry, that has more depth in the Clippers, and Ty Lue going against Monty Williams. And so that's going to be a very interesting series. But you guys right, the intrigue and the excitement and the 130-point games are going to be Sacramento versus the Golden State Warriors.
I'd be a bit more intrigued by the Clippers if Paul George was 100%.
Correct.
But with that, him being here, he ain't going to be 100% when he gets back.
No.
And to go against Kevin Durant and Devin Booker,
that's gonna be
and
fun.
you're less than 100% in advance, my condolences.
What do you think of that series, Wilbon?
Well, I mean, that series, Jalen mentions chemistry. And, of course, he's talking about one team has been able to play together, even though it was limited, 30-plus games with those two together. The Suns have only had, 9 games? Now, granted, they didn't lose any of those games when Kevin Durant was on the floor. But the Suns and Monty Williams were still trying to get that rotation together, figure out the combinations of players to use. How much do you involve Ayton? I mean, how much Ayton can pout on you a little bit? What are they going to do with him early in games to get him going and make sure he's feeling good about himself? Because they're going to need him. It's not just KD and Booker. CP3 is running that thing, and Ayton has got to be a big contributor for the Suns to be as great as people think they can be.
Not to mention when you're going up against Big Zubats, who has been excellent for the Clippers, they're going to need DeAndre Ayton to be firing on all cylinders. But I agree with you guys. And it's not just because I am from the Bay Area that I'm going to be enjoying this one. When you're talking about number 1 and number 2 in points per game, the electricity, Stephen A., that this series is going to have for California, for NorCal, for the Bay, it is going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. I hope everyone at home enjoys these playoffs, enjoy the play-in, because this is going to be fun.
NBA Countdown Playoff Preview, presented by Kia.
Welcome to the NBA Countdown Playoff Preview. We are coming at you live from above the Heineken deck at Pier 17. Stephen A. Smith, Malika Andrews, Jalen Rose, Michael Wilbon will be joining us in just a minute from Phoenix. And gentlemen, the playoffs, the play-in, they are set, and here they are. We're going to start with the West here and show you what this looks like. So coming into the day, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, the Kings, the Suns, they were all locked in, right, to the top 4 spots. The Clippers, they battled back. They claimed the 5th seed. The Warriors won in convincing fashion. They secured the 6th spot. And then that also sets up our play-in. The Timberwolves in the 7-8 matchup against the Lakers will be hosting. The winner of that clinches the 7th seed. And then the Pelicans and the Thunder, they square off in that 9-10 game. The winner faces the loser of the Lakers-Timberwolves for the 8th and final spot in the playoffs. I want to start here by focusing in on the Lakers. Your thoughts here, Stephen A.
Good for them that they've got the play-in game on their home turf. Good for them in regards to the outright idiocy of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who've made it easier because obviously Rudy Gobert punches Anderson, just sucker punches him, and there needs to be some discipline in regards to that. Who knows what it will be? You know, Jaden McDaniels, he injured himself because apparently he punched a wall and he's hurt his hand. So now the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were once compromised up here. Now they're compromised physically. So that's an easier route for the Los Angeles Lakers. I expect the Lakers to win this game. I expect them to secure the number 7 seed and go up against a Memphis squad that is devoid of Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, which means that Anthony Davis will have to show up to save the day in that series.
You mentioned all of the hullabaloo that happened around the Timberwolves. So before we get your thoughts, Jalen and Michael Wilbon, I do want to check in with our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, because the Timberwolves, they are hurting now in this. Woj, what more can you tell us about the state of the Wolves?
Absolute chaos for the Timberwolves today, and the losses are significant, starting with Jaden McDaniels, who's had a breakout season for Minnesota. He has a fractured right hand, I'm told. He is out for the season, and this is a player who has guarded the best player on the Wolves' opponents this season. He won't be available Tuesday against the Lakers in the play-in, or again if they were to advance. And listen, it all started with argument between Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert that escalated with Gobert throwing a punch, hitting Kyle Anderson. You know, I'm told that the back and forth was about first Anderson telling Rudy Gobert, hey, why don't you block some shots? Gobert telling him, why don't you grab a rebound? And then it escalated from there until Rudy Gobert threw a punch, and it certainly leaves his availability on Tuesday against the Lakers in L.A. Very much in the air. The 2 best defensive players, certainly, for this Minnesota team. McDaniels now out for the season, punching a wall on the way into the halftime locker room. And now Rudy Gobert, essentially sent home from the arena by Timberwolves president Tim Connolly in the aftermath of throwing a punch at teammate Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, as you reported, Woj, Tim Connolly said that we made the decision to send Rudy home. His behavior on the bench was, quote, unacceptable, and we will continue handling this situation internally. Michael Wilbon, your thoughts?
Wasn't it last year that I was saying that the Minnesota Timberwolves appeared to major in dumb?
Yeah.
We got back-to-back years. I mean, I probably should say immaturity. I probably should say that, but I'm not going to say that. Because when you continually do this and you repeatedly do it and you've got, I mean, the Timberwolves have some pieces. And when emotionally plugged in, I mean, they can beat a lot of teams. I don't know if they can win this series even if healthy and in concentration and sort of in command of what they're doing. But it's possible Now, and Stephen A., I agree with you, it doesn't even appear possible. How many years do you get to just do one stupid thing after another, whether it's in-game, during the week, in a locker room, on the way to the locker room? These are the playoffs. Everything you have is at stake. Do you look around at the other teams and see the way the Lakers and the Suns and the Warriors and the Bucks and the Celtics are conducting themselves? And then this is what you do again? Unbelievable. It really is.
Coward move by Rudy Gobert. A team is an extension in a lot of ways of itself. It happens in frustration amongst the group, which lends to the team not watching Jaden McDaniels compound that with punching the wall. So the basketball guys, everybody, are just shining down on the Lakers because now they're going to wax the Minnesota Timberwolves on their home floor. That's exactly what's going to happen. LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Darvin Ham are literally watching this unfold right in front of their hands. They woke up today. They could have been the 5th seed. I think you said they could have been an 8th or a 9th seed.
Yeah.
Now they're in pole position, to Stephen A's point, not only to win because they are going to win, but now they get a chance to play against Memphis where they're shorthanded up front.
Stephen A., final thoughts?
It's just sad because I look at Anthony Edwards. I think he's an absolute stud. Karl Anthony Towns has come back. He showed you what he's capable of, and you knew they have the potential to beat some of these teams. There are times where, again, the flagrant level of idiocy is very, very alarming. Michael Wilbon said he shouldn't say it, but he's going to say it anyway. You're damn right I'm going to say it because it should be said. Very, very dumb. And listen, McDaniels, we know he's a stud and so much promise. What could you have been that mad about on the last game of the regular season, knowing you got a playing game to come? What could have possibly made you that mad that you're going to punch a wall and break your hand and be out for the daggone season? My Lord. I mean, Lord have mercy.
Jaden McDaniels, such a key piece.